Former Philippine President Rodrigo Duterte is on the final stretch of his journey to The Hague after his arrest in Manila yesterday. The International Criminal Court had issued the warrant for Mr. Duterte's war on drugs. The former president's flight is bound for Rotterdam in the Netherlands from Dubai. Data from tracking site Flight Radar 24 shows a delay of several hours in Dubai, where it made a refueling stop. A Philippine news agency ABS-CBN is also reporting Mr. Duterte received medical attention while in the United Arab Emirates. On arrival in the Netherlands, he is expected to be transferred to the ICC's detention unit. From there, he will prepare for his first appearance before the court. And for more on what will happen next, Will Denselow joins us live from Brussels. Will, Mr. Duterte expected to land in Rotterdam in just the next few hours. What lies ahead for this former leader?
That's absolutely right. And as you mentioned, he will then be handed over to the ICC detention unit. Now, this is an offshoot of the Netherlands prison system, and there are just a handful of other ICC detainees also in this facility, those from the International Criminal Tribunal for the former Yugoslavia. Now, a few details about what these facilities look like. Well, the detainees will have their own room. There is a television in these rooms, we understand. There is also a computer without access to the internet. These computers used solely for things like preparing for upcoming cases. Now, you mentioned then there will be a pre-trial hearing. This is an opportunity just for the identification of a detainee to be confirmed, as well as the charges to be announced to them. Then after that, we'll get information of when a proper hearing will be held. That's an opportunity for the judges to go over the evidence to see whether there is indeed enough to proceed with a full trial. First things first, though, Mr. Duterte needs to be entered into ICC custody. And then, according to spokespeople at the ICC I've spoken to, they say only once in custody, an initial appearance hearing will be scheduled.
All right, Will, even before Mr. Duterte's flight left Manila last night, there were already petitions being filed to the Philippine Supreme Court against this move to bring him to The Hague to face this trial for crimes against humanity. These petitions and more being filed today, whatever happens, whatever the Philippine Supreme Court decides to do with these petitions, could they have any impact on the case at the ICC?
Well, plenty of legal wranglings, as you might expect, back in the Philippines. But as far as the ICC is concerned, well, these charges only date from 2011 to 2019, March 2019, when the Philippines pulled out of the International Criminal Court. So as far as the ICC is concerned, they believe that they are working within the parameters of when the Philippines was still a part of the Rome Statute. So therefore, they have the legal framework and footing to proceed with this investigation and these legal proceedings as we go forward. We have heard from a spokesperson from the United Nations High Commissioner for Human Rights, Ravina Shamdasani. She says that there are long documented the severe human rights impact on the so-called war on drugs. When it comes to the charges, the evidence that will be presented, if indeed we do get to this trial, she says that there are credible allegations of widespread and systematic extrajudicial killing. So the UN body saying there is certainly enough evidence to at least go forward with this trial. She says, though, that the next steps must be undertaken in full accordance with international law. So a strong message there from the United Nations. She also says that the safeguards for victims must be protected as well as we move forward.
Thanks for that. Will Denselow reporting live from Brussels. Of course, the Philippine former President Rodrigo Duterte due to arrive in Rotterdam in the next few hours. More on those petitions filed in Manila. The Philippine Supreme Court has held off on issuing a temporary restraining order on the arrest of the former president. Instead, the High Court has directed respondents in at least one case to submit their comments within a 10-day period. But more motions have been filed, the latest of which was by one of Mr. Duterte's sons, his Davao City Mayor, Sebastian Duterte. An earlier petition filed by the former leader's youngest daughter accused the Philippine government of, quote, kidnapping her father. The Supreme Court has received at least 3 petitions challenging this arrest. Meanwhile, one of Mr. Duterte's daughters, that's the Vice President, Sara Duterte, is also on her way to the Netherlands, but has given no detail on what she will do when she is there. CNA's Buena Bernal tells us more.
The arrest of former Philippine President Rodrigo Duterte marks the biggest step yet in the International Criminal Court's probe into alleged crimes against humanity during a crackdown on drugs that killed thousands. The former president's daughter, Vice President Sara Duterte, boarded a flight on Wednesday morning to the Netherlands to help her father at the ICC. She criticized President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. for surrendering her father to a foreign court with no jurisdiction over the Philippines. Their supporters agree, chanting their family name.
It's not worth to be treated like that with all what he has done to our country during his term as president.
The ICC probe had gone on for 8 years. Surviving relatives of those killed welcome the surprise arrest.
Siyempre masaya. Tapos sabi ko, pa, ito na hinihintay mo. Pagka nakakamit mo na yung stisya.
On Tuesday night, President Marcos said the country was obliged to cooperate with Interpol, through which the ICC warrant was coursed. The Presidential Communication Office echoes his sentiments.
Hindi po ito basta gawa-gawa na kwento. May mga biktima. Hindi ito pagpaplanta ng ebidensya. Hindi galing ang kaso sa Pilipinas. Ito ang kaso ay pending sa ICC.
But some experts say such cooperation is a matter of state discretion.
There is nothing that can compel a government from actually enforcing a request made by the Interpol. In fact, the Interpol depends highly on the willingness of state authorities to act on its requests. In an ideal scenario, member countries should cooperate with the Interpol because of the purpose and the role that the Interpol plays in combating crimes, global crimes, that cuts across territories. So, such as terrorism, human trafficking, these are crimes that doesn't have borders.
Mr. Duterte's legal counsel has appealed before the Philippine Supreme Court for his return to the country. Buena Bernal, CNA, Metro Manila.